Have you ever felt the quiet pain of being disrespected by the very children you devoted your life to? The ones you nurtured, guided, and sacrificed so much for? Now they brush off your advice, disregard your opinions, or even make you feel like an unwanted presence. That kind of hurt can cut deeper than words can express. But know this, you're not facing it alone, and it doesn't have to remain this way. In today's video, I'll be walking you through 6 practical and impactful shifts that can help you regain their respect without conflict or bitterness. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll learn can completely change how your children see you, restoring your role as a respected and cherished part of their lives. Before we get into it, I'd truly appreciate your support by liking this video. It helps me continue to share these timeless insights. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a video. If you find value in this video, please leave a comment with the number 1. If not, comment 0, so I know how to improve and bring better content your way. Let's begin with the first shift. Stop seeking their validation. Many parents, particularly as they get older, fall into the subtle trap of trying to earn their children's approval. You may have changed your plans for their convenience, agreed to things that didn't feel right, or neglected your own needs in hopes of getting a small sign of gratitude. You might justify it, believing that if you give enough, they'll finally recognize your worth and show you the appreciation you've longed for. But here's the tough truth. The more you pursue their approval, the less they'll respect you. This can lead to a one-sided relationship where your needs are constantly overlooked, and your children may start to take advantage of your willingness to please them. Respect doesn't come from self-sacrifice. It comes from self-respect. If you constantly say yes when your heart says no, hide your frustrations to keep the peace or place their needs above your dignity, you're quietly telling them that your feelings matter less. This dynamic, over time, trains them to overlook your worth. You shift from being a person of value to a background presence, always available, always compromising, never standing tall. Take Margaret, for instance, a woman I once knew. In her prime, she was sharp, confident, and never afraid to speak her truth. But as her kids aged into adults, she started yielding to their wishes on everything. From family gatherings to dinner menus, she silenced her opinions to avoid disagreements and endured little jabs like, "You wouldn't get it, Mom," or "Just let us take care of it." Her reasoning, "I just want to keep the family close," she'd say, her voice filled with quiet surrender. But her efforts backfired. Her children didn't admire her sacrifices. They viewed her as weak. Her time, her input, and her presence all faded in importance. She became invisible. Not out of malice, but because she unknowingly showed them she didn't require respect. The solution isn't demanding recognition. It's demonstrating that you already possess value. This means setting boundaries that respect your needs as much as theirs. It's about saying no when necessary, even if it causes temporary friction. It's about speaking your truth, even if they roll their eyes. It's not about demanding respect, but about living in a way that naturally earns it. This isn't about conflict. It's about rediscovering your voice. When you stop seeking their validation and stand firm in your worth, something profound happens. They might resist at first. Change is uncomfortable for those who benefit from your silence, but over time, they'll start to see you in a new light, someone who honors themselves, and in doing so, naturally earns their respect. Now let's talk about the second shift. Don't argue, model the behavior you expect. When your kids talk over you, disregard your views, or speak with casual disrespect, your gut reaction might be to confront them. Maybe you've raised your voice, reminded them of your sacrifices, or insisted they listen because I'm your parent. In that moment, it feels justified. But here's the reality. Yelling or arguing doesn't earn you respect. It may win an argument, but not their esteem. Ask yourself, has any heated exchange ever left you feeling genuinely respected? Words can protect your pride, but they rarely shift someone's heart. Respect stems from how you carry yourself, not how forcefully you state your case. Arguing often signals desperation, a need to be validated. When you react emotionally to their disrespect, you hand them control. They see your buttons and know exactly how to press them. I remember Frank, a retired teacher who used to command classrooms with calm authority. But at home, his grown kids ignored his advice, laughed off his concerns, and dismissed his perspective. First, Frank fought back, listing his achievements, demanding to be heard. But the more he pushed, the less they listened. It was exhausting. So Frank changed his approach. He stopped reacting. When they cut him off, he paused, then spoke with calm certainty. He no longer asked for respect. He lived it. Over time, they noticed. He wasn't shaken. He wasn't pleading. He became a man who stood tall, regardless of their reactions, and that quiet confidence drew them in. If your children aren't showing you respect, resist the urge to demand it. Show them what it looks like. Maintain your composure. Speak firmly without lowering yourself to their level. For instance, if they interrupt you, calmly wait for them to finish before speaking. If they speak disrespectfully, respond with respect. If they ignore your advice, continue to offer it without becoming upset or argumentative. Grace under fire isn't weakness, it's authority. And it's that steady strength they'll eventually follow, not because you told them to, but because you lived it. If you're still with me and finding this helpful, leave a number 2 in the comments. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, now's a great time. Let's move on to shift number 3. Detach your emotional well-being from their attention. This one's hard, but essential. As you age, leaning on your children for emotional fulfillment becomes tempting. You gave them everything, your time, your sleep, your dreams, and it's natural to want that love reciprocated. But here's the rub. When your happiness hinges on their attention, it doesn't draw them closer. It drives them away. Your need doesn't make them feel cherished. It makes them feel responsible for your joy. That pressure can feel overwhelming, even suffocating. The more you seek reassurance, the more they distance themselves. Emotional independence isn't just protection for your heart. It's the foundation of respect. People, even our kids, gravitate toward those who stand strong alone. When you become emotionally needy, waiting by the phone, hinting for visits, sulking when they don't respond, you shift from being their pillar to being a burden. Helen is a woman I once knew, kind, selfless, and endlessly giving. After her children moved out, she poured all her energy into staying connected. She called daily, her voice always tinged with longing. When her calls went unanswered, she left long voicemails. She thought she was staying close, but her children felt trapped, not loved. Her need became a net. Then one evening, she hit her breaking point. No more chasing. She picked up her old paintbrush and started creating again. She joined a garden club, made new friends, and built a life filled with her joys, and slowly her kids came back. Not out of guilt, but out of curiosity and admiration. Her son asked about her latest painting. Her daughter stopped by to see her garden. When Helen stopped needing them to complete her, they started respecting her again. So take note. Your life shouldn't revolve around your children's attention. Rediscover your passions, connect with peers, and build a world that nourishes you. When they see you thriving, they'll return, not because you begged, but because they're drawn to your strength. Now let's talk about shift number 4. Set boundaries and stick to them. If your children treat you with disregard, ask yourself honestly, have you allowed it? Most grown kids aren't trying to hurt their parents, but they will test limits, especially if there seem to be none. If you let them talk over you, ignore your feelings, or take your time for granted, and you smile through it, you're teaching them that it's acceptable. Boundaries aren't about ultimatums. They're quiet but firm markers of self-respect. They say, this is who I am, and this is how I expect to be treated. But boundaries only work when enforced. Without action, they're just empty statements. Robert, a retired businessman I met, had a reputation for commanding respect in his career. But at home, his grown kids cut him off mid-story, laughed at his advice, and dismissed him entirely. For years, he let it slide, telling himself it wasn't worth the fight. But each time, he lost a bit more ground. Until one day, he'd had enough. His son interrupted him again, and Robert calmly replied, I'll continue when you're ready to listen. When his daughter waved him off, he said, you don't have to agree, but I expect respect. And when they tested him, he held firm. He left mid-conversation and skipped gatherings. He didn't yell. He just let silence and consistency do the work. First, they resisted, but over time they realized they could no longer steamroll him. And slowly, the balance shifted. When you enforce your boundaries, you show your children you are not someone to be dismissed. They'll push back, but eventually, they'll adjust. If this part hits home, leave number 4 in the comments. I want to know you're still with me. And if you're still watching, drop a number 2 to show you're engaged. It's deeply woven into the very fabric of our being. We give up our hours, our energy, even our last worn-out dollar. The late nights we sacrifice for sleep that may never come back are all wrapped up in love so instinctive that it's like the rhythm of our breath. We prepare meals that sit untouched, waiting for them to walk through the door. We stay up mending their jackets with care, stitching under the dim glow of midnight. When they call, we brave harsh weather, driving through the storm to bring them home. This quiet persistence, this offering we make daily, often goes unseen, even by us. But there's a quiet warning buried in this instinctive devotion. When you keep pouring yourself into people who never pause to recognize it, you're not building connection. You're wearing it down. What once felt like acts of love start losing their shine and begin to feel expected. Suddenly, your constant care becomes something they assume, something they feel entitled to. Your children may grow so used to your giving that it no longer feels like a gift. To them, it becomes like air or shelter, always there, always assumed. And when your resources dwindle, when your giving slows, when you finally take a step back, they don't respond with thanks, but with complaints. They count what's lacking, not what's been poured into them. To be seen and respected, you have to stop offering your kindness like it's limitless and free. This isn't about withholding love or icing them out. It's about teaching them that your value doesn't come from always being available. Think about George, a father I once knew, a man built solid as a mountain, but gentle as morning light. He was the type to hand over his coat in a snowstorm if he thought you looked cold, and ask if you needed his shoes, too. His children meant everything to him. He would bail them out of overdrafts with crumpled cash and cross state lines in an old truck to pull them from trouble. Before they could even finish asking, he was already saying yes, because to him, that was love in action, the holy work of being a dad. But to his kids, it blended into the background. A rare thank you was the most he got, if that. Most days they just took what he gave and asked for more. Then came the night his aging truck gave out on a rainy road under a flickering street lamp. He called, voice calm and hopeful, picturing one of them rolling up to help. Their responses were clipped and dull. They were too busy. That cold dismissal pierced something in George, though he didn't show it. Still, George didn't lash out in rage. Instead, he found a new kind of clarity. He said no the next time they asked for cash, let their calls go unanswered, unless they came with genuine care. Unless they met him halfway, he stopped stepping in. The change rattled them. They were used to George the fixer, always just a whistle away. They grumbled, claimed he'd changed, and said he didn't care as much. But something shifted. The silence where his rescues used to be made them take notice. A hesitant thank you came when he patched a tire. A call came to say hello, not to ask for something. By doing less, he didn't love them less. He chose to love himself more. He made them see his generosity as rare, not routine. So if your kids treat your care like it's always owed, take a step back. Let them stumble in the absence of your constant giving. When they finally see that your kindness isn't automatic, they'll start valuing it. And in turn, they'll begin to treat you with the respect you've long deserved. Now here's another truth. You can't make your entire life revolve around your children forever. It's far too easy as a parent to let them become the center of your universe. They become the reason you rise each morning, the source of your pride and pain. You display their art like trophies and memorize their routines like sacred chants. You start living in their orbit, shaping your days around their needs. But as they grow and step into adulthood, that gravitational pull can turn heavy. Instead of lifting you, it starts to weigh you down. They might begin to see you not as strong, but as dependent. Always nearby, waiting, measuring your worth through their actions, and that doesn't breed respect. They may see you as a ghost of yourself, clinging to them instead of shining on your own. Respect is not given to those who vanish into others. It belongs to those who build something meaningful for themselves beyond just being someone's parent. Take Eleanor, a widow I once knew, whose laughter could fill a room, even while her heart still ached after her husband passed. The silence at home echoed so loudly that it became unbearable. She reached for her children, calling every day, offering outdated advice, hovering close. She thought she was healing the distance grief had caused, but they began to withdraw. Visits grew fewer, and their tones clipped with frustration. She could feel them slipping away, and it tore her open. Then one day, she didn't wake up to their silence. She woke up to her own, and in that quiet, she chose something new. Eleanor stopped waiting. She signed up for pottery classes, her hands unsteady but willing as they shaped clumsy bowls. She booked a trip with long-lost friends, nervous but determined, suitcase packed with a dress she hadn't worn in years. She volunteered at a local school, sharing stories from her life before Mom was her main title. Slowly she rebuilt a life rich with color and sound, one that sang in her voice. And something changed. Her children noticed the spark returning to the woman they once knew only as Mom. They called, not because they had to, but because they were curious, drawn in by her joy. They stopped by unannounced, listening eagerly to her tales of pottery glazes and hilltop hikes. She hadn't let go of being a mother. She had rediscovered being Eleanor. When you show your kids that you're a complete person, messy, passionate, alive, they begin to see you in a new, deeper light. So build that life. Revive that old dream. Chase that forgotten whim. Surround yourself with friendships that don't start with their names. If they don't respect you now, let them witness you thrive beyond their world. They'll return, not because you begged them to, but because they're moved by the person you've become. If this speaks to you, type number 6 in the comments below. I'd love to know, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. We've got more powerful journeys ahead, and I'd love to walk them with you. That brings us to the end of today's video. We've unpacked 6 strong, practical ways to earn back the respect you deserve from your children, all without conflict or exhaustion. I hope these insights sparked something fresh for you. Maybe a new angle on how to handle those hard moments. The goal is to change the way they view you. So here's my question. What stood out to you today? What lesson are you most excited to try in your own life? Is it about drawing firmer lines or pulling back from chasing their praise? Whatever hit home, I'd love to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your words might encourage someone else to watch this right now. Reading your reflections is one of my favorite parts of making these videos. It keeps this space real, honest, and connected. If this video helped or moved you in any way, please leave a comment, tap like, and share it with someone who might need it too. And don't forget to subscribe. Your support is what helps us keep making videos that uplift, inform, and empower. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.